अभय शरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिव प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य लीला विष्णु विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्लोक श्रीमद शिल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की आनंद कोटि वैष्णववृंद की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपिका श्याम राधा कुंज गोवर्धन वृंदावन धाम की नवदीप मायापुर धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथ धाम की गंगा माई की जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी की श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की श्री श्री राधा माधव सती की श्री श्री पंचतत्व की प्रहलाद सिंह की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की भुवन मंगल श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की द्वादश महागम की all glories to some of the devotees, all glories to some of the devotees, all glories to some of the devotees, all glories to Shri Guru Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudevayat Nashtakare Shabadeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki Krishna Swadamo Bhagate Rama Jnana Riddhi Saha Kalo Nashta Dishamesha Purana Kodunodita Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. This morning we are very fortunate to be hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 17. Shangatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanaha Prajyantasto Yabhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam Shangatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanam Vidyantastoya Bhadrani Vidonoti Surit Satam Shangatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanam Vidyantastoya Bhadrani Vidonoti Surit Satam. Please chant. Sakata Krishna Vaishnavis, Shandakam, for those who have developed the urge to hear the message, Swakata, his own words, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Punya, virtues, Shravana, hearing, Kirtana, chanting, Bhadyantasta, within one's heart. He, certainly, Abhadrani, desire to enjoy matter. Vidunoti, cleanses. Surit, benefactor. Satam, of the truthful. Translation: Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Messages of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, are none different from Him. Whenever, therefore, offenseless chanting, offenseless hearing and glorification of God are undertaken, it is to be understood that Lord Krishna is present there in the form of transcendental sound, which is as powerful as the Lord personally. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Sikshastaka declares clearly that the holy name of the Lord has all the potencies of the Lord, and that He has endowed His innumerable names with the same potency. There is no rigid fixture of time, and anyone can chant the holy name with attention and reverence at his convenience. The Lord is so kind to us that He can be present before us personally in the form of transcendental sound. But unfortunately, we have no taste for hearing and glorifying the Lord's name and activities. We have already discussed developing a taste for hearing and chanting the holy sound. It is done through the medium of service to the pure devotee of the Lord. The Lord is reciprocally respondent to His devotees. When He sees that a devotee is completely sincere in getting admittance to the transcendental service of the Lord, and has thus become eager to hear about Him, the Lord acts from within the devotee in such a way that the devotee may easily go back to Him. The Lord is more anxious to take us back to His kingdom than we can desire. Most of us do not desire at all to go back to Godhead. Only a very few men want to go back to Godhead. But anyone who desires to go back to Godhead, Sri Krishna helps in all respects. One cannot enter the kingdom of God unless one is perfectly cleared of all sins. The material sins are products of our desires to lord it over material nature. It is very difficult to get rid of such desires. Women and wealth are very difficult problems for the devotee making progress on the path of Godhead. Many stalwarts in the devotional line fell victim to these allurements and thus retreated from the path of liberation. But when one is helped by the Lord Himself, the whole process becomes as easy as anything by the divine grace of the Lord. To become restless in the contact of women and wealth is not an astonishment, because every living being is associated with such things from remote time, practically immemorial, and it takes time to recover from this foreign nature. But if one is engaged in hearing the glories of the Lord, gradually he realizes his real position. By the grace of God, such a devotee gets sufficient strength to defend himself from the state of disturbances, and gradually all disturbing elements are limited from his mind. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitan Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Nama Shishtam Manomapi Sachiputram Atra Sarupam Rupam Tatsagrajamuripuri Matarim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Aho Radhika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Nanta Duteshwayam Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhum Nichopi Yat Prasadat Sad Bhakti Shastra Bhavartaka Nityanandamaham Nomi Sarvanandakaram Param Harinama Padam Devam Avaduta Shiromanim Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannataya Te Namah Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Munindra Vindamandite Triloka Shoka Harini Prasanna Bhakta Pankajai Nikunja Vilasini Rajendravanu Nandini Brajendra Sunu Sangate Kada Karishyasi Haman Kripa Katakshabhajanam Vrindaye Tulsi Dibbaye Priyaye Keshavasya Vishnu Bhakti Paridevi Satyavatai Namo Namah Vancha Kalpaturdischa Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. This very famous verse is being spoken here. And what is the topic of discussion is Krishna. It's mentioned here, Krishna Katha. What do we want to talk about? What do we want to hear about? Krishna Katha. Now the background noise that you're hearing, is that Krishna Katha? No. It's like so many birds come together and they're chirp, 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 chirp. They're not talking about Krishna. But if we want to leave this material world, we have to understand the importance of hearing and talking about Krishna. But no one wants to hear. We waste time doing many other things. Is there anyone here that doesn't have one of these? One single person? Please accept my obeisances. These are weapons of mass distraction because they're created in such a way to capture our consciousness. Srila Prabhupada had a very negative opinion about reading newspapers. He told a nice story about one Christian preacher who went to Sheffield, England, and he was preaching to the miners. And he told the miners, the priest was railing against the miners, if you don't accept Jesus Christ, you will go to hell. And the miners said, who is Jesus Christ? What is his number? He said, no, he's not a miner, he's Supreme Lord. He's God. And what is hell? The preacher said, hell is dark, it is damp, it is very hot, it is a very uncomfortable place. The miner said, we do that every day. Who cares about hell? So the preacher thought for a moment and said, in hell, there is no newspaper. They said, oh, how horrible, horrible. So Srila Prabhupada also said one time that if you look at any of our temples, you will not find one shred of newspaper. We're not reading newspaper. But what is this? This is 100 times, 1,000 times more attractive than newspaper. And we're all prone to waste hours every day hearing something unrelated to Krishna. How can that help us? It is Gramya Katha. You may understand something, and we should not be ignorant of what is happening in the world. There's a nice story about that also. His Holiness Radhanath Swami, in his brahmachari days, had a van, and he traveled around to colleges doing college preaching. So he was in one class, and he was railing against war. And he was telling the class that Vietnam War has to stop. This is an abomination. So many people are dying, it must stop. After the class, one person raised his hand and said, Maharaj, Vietnam War stopped 3 years ago. Because he's not reading newspaper, he's not reading magazine, he's not watching TV. There is no internet, but he's completely out of touch with what's happening in the world. That's probably not so good. We should know what's happening in the world and have a Krishna conscious perspective of it, but we shouldn't be addicted to spending time with our face glued to one of these machines, because it cannot help you. Prabhupada mentions here in the purport that most people don't want to go back to Godhead. And what is the symptom? We don't spend time reading and hearing about Krishna. Krishna Katha. Because this hearing, when we read Prabhupada's book, we're actually hearing. Because Srila Prabhupada didn't write his books with pen and paper. He spoke his books into a microphone. So when we open Prabhupada's book and read his purport, we're as good as sitting in the same room with Prabhupada, hearing directly from his lotus mouth. We pray, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, Chitete Koriya Aikya. This is Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, the words that came from the mouth, the lotus mouth of Srila Prabhupada. So when we read his purports, we're as good as a person sitting in the same room hearing Srila Prabhupada speak directly. This is a fact. So Krishna Katha, hearing, is the most important thing we do every single day. And for this purpose, His Grace Janmashtami Prabhu has organized this program to hear about Srila Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada said to hear the activities of the pure devotee, the Leela of pure devotee, is more powerful, more purifying than hearing about the Lord Himself. Because when we hear and acquaint ourselves with the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, his life, his childhood, his pre-adolescent life, his married life, his vanaprastha life, his sannyas life, we can see a continuum of perfection. Perfect grihastha life, perfect sannyas life, vanaprastha life. And if we ever don't know what to do, if we reach a juncture in our life where we can't decide how will I deal with something, ask yourself, what would Srila Prabhupada do? So hearing about Srila Prabhupada is very, very powerful. And it's in the same category as hearing about the Lord Himself. So there are many benefits we get, different installments of mercy that come to us by hearing. First installment is that we become knowledgeable. Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakta, you think of me. If we don't know anything about Krishna, about His Nam, Gun, Roop, Parikar, Leela, how will you think of Krishna? Simple thing, without associating ourselves, familiarizing ourselves with the activities and Leela of the, how will we think of Him? His quality, His beauty, His form, His mercy, His devotees, His dham, His mandirs, His deity. If we don't familiarize ourselves with these topics, how will we think of Krishna? So this is the first installment of mercy that we get by hearing about Krishna, by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. If we analyze other religious traditions, there are many that accept that God is a person. But if you ask Him about the personal attributes of that Lord, what can they say? If you ask them, what does he look like? If God is a person, he has a form. Did we ever say personality without form? Personality implies form. So what does God look like? Is he a light, a void, a zero, a nothing, impersonal, absolute, nirvishesh, Brahman, nirgun Brahman? This unfortunate thing has attacked this beautiful country of Bharat. Because when people think of spiritual life, they think of Mayapur. But if God is if he's only nirvishesh, Brahman, nirgun Brahman, how can you pray to him? Can he hear you? Can he bless you? He can't bless you because he's nirgun Brahman. They say God has no eye, has no ear, no leg, no arm, no mouth. In other words, he's deaf man, dumb man, blind man, lame man. How can he bless you? So what do they know about God? What do they know in any other religious tradition? They say, if you see God, that you'll be burned to ashes. We want to see God. We pray every day, we want to see God. More abilas, vilas kunje diovas. We want to nayane herebo patsada yugala ruparasi. We aspire, this is our abilas, our desire, our heartful. We want to see Yugala Radha Krishna. He can be seen. He has a form, he has a personality. He has beautiful reddish lotus feet. Vaijayanti Mala, Pitambara Dhoti. Beautiful reddish lotus eyes. Bimba red fruit, bimba red lips. Beautiful black curling hair. Peacock feather. He's a person. But if you ask this other person, what does he look like? I don't know. Why? Because they haven't read Srimad Bhagavatam. What is he doing? Does he have a home? If he's a person, persons have a home. Is God wandering the street with a bag on his shoulder because he doesn't have any place to stay? If he has a home, what does that home look like? What do they understand about Goloka, Vaikuntha? It says heaven. It says God is just sitting in a cloud somewhere. That's his home. Or he's wandering on the street, homeless. What about God's friends? If God is a person, he must have associates, people that love him. What are the nature of those associates of the Lord? What can they say? Is he friendless? He's lonely? Nobody likes him? Or is he surrounded by loving associates? They don't know because they haven't read Srimad Bhagavatam. What does he eat? Is God starving? No one wants to feed him. He's hungry. He's emaciated. He's become skinny and thin because no one feeds him. If he eats, persons eat. If he's eating, if he's a person, he's eating. What is he eating? That they don't know because they haven't read Srimad Bhagavatam. They can't understand the personality of God because they haven't heard. Hearing is so important. So the first installment of mercy we get by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas, Upanishads, Itihasa. The first benefit we get, we become knowledgeable. Like if I asked any one of you, please take 5 minutes and describe the qualities and nature of my brother. You say, well, he's a guy. And Sarva's from America. He's probably from America too. But how much more can you say? Because you haven't heard. So if we don't invest time to hear about Krishna, what do we know about him? Simple thing. First installment, we become knowledgeable. Now, second installment is that we become all the abhadrani, lust, anger, greed, fear, envy, the things that afflict our heart are eradicated by the simple process of hearing. Because this hearing has special power. Hearing about Krishna has the effect of cleansing our heart. How can you do it? How can you remove lust from your heart? Can you get a scrub brush? Can you pour water over you, some soap? How do you eradicate? Krishna says you have to You have to get rid of it. Trividam narakasyedam dharam nashanam atmana kama loba tatastam lobas tasmade tatrayam tyajet. We have to tyajam tyajet. We have to free ourselves from lust, anger, and greed. How do you do it? With a scrub brush, a toothbrush, a washcloth? We do it through our ear. We understand God through our ear. From bhakti yogam paribhavada hritsaroja asam prutiksha-tato nanunata pumsam. How do we see God? How do we cleanse our heart? Through our ear. Karna randrena. Pravishta karna randrena swanam bhava saroraham donoti shamalam krishnam salilasiyata sharat. We cleanse our heart through our ear. Krishna takes his seat within our heart. Swanam bhava saroraham. He manifests himself in a particular loving relationship and takes a seat on the lotus of our own heart. How? Karna randrena, through our ear. Everybody in the material world wants to see God with their eye. And they challenge, if there is a God, show him to me. Prove it. But we ask, are you qualified to see God? Can we demand, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, come now, I want to see you. He's a very great pious man, but he's a man after all. We can't demand that he comes. What to speak? Can we demand that God comes to show himself to us? He will show himself to us. There's a formula to see him. Bhaktya tanandaya shakya vedam vedam vijorjana gyatum drashtum chatatvena pravishtum cha parantava. He says by ananya bhakti. He says gyatum, you can know me. Drashtum, you can see me eye to eye and face to face as I'm seeing you and you're seeing me. By ananya bhakti. He can be seen. But the heart has to become pure. Prabhupada mentions, we can't see God, we can't experience God if our heart is impure. So Krishna says in Gita, Yesham tantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmuktam bhajanti mam dvidabrataha. If you want to worship God with determination, there's a qualification. There's qualification required. You have to become free from sinful life. Punya karmanam, you should have some previous lives, punya karma, some sukriti. We should become free from the dualities of material existence. Then God can be seen. He can be seen, but the heart has to become pure. So this sound vibration is not different from Krishna. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Purana Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Darshayasaya Lokasya Danyam Swastayanamat. This Bhagavatam, Prabhupada explains, he translates Purana Brahma Samhitam, he translates as the incarnation of the Lord. This book can be worshipped with 16 upachars. You can worship this book with Tulsi. Patam, Deepam Daivam, Deepam Naidam, Deepam Drupam Naivedyam. We can offer 16 upachars to this book because it's incarnation of the Lord in paper and ink. It's as good as Krishna. Prabhupada said, absolutely no difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and this book. Therefore we make this seat. This seat is not for me. This is for Bhagavatam. For what is being spoken, not for the speaker. What is being spoken. Because this book is as good as Krishna. So if we hear this sound vibration, what is the effect? Nityam prayeshu abhaddeshu. Nashta prayeshu. Nashta means it's destroyed. Prayeshu almost to nil. Just by hearing. Material life means Shrotavyadini Rajandram Niyanam Shanti Sahasrasa Apashyatam Atma Tattvam Griheshu Grihamedinam. Materialistic person has many topics of discussion. They want to talk about their wife, their parents, their kids, their job, what they ate, what movie they watched, their dog, their cat, their job, their house. Thousands of different topics they have of discussion. But if you talk about God, no, don't bring that up. Actually, in America, it's illegal to have a discussion about God in the school and in the workplace because it's such a controversial topic. Why is it controversial? Because they don't have access to the Srimad Bhagavatam. They haven't heard. So this is the second installation of mercy, that by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, our heart becomes cleansed, and we can experience that. Krishna consciousness is not just a vague idea. Rather, Bhagavad Gita says, Raja Vidya Raja Guyam Pravitam Adamutam Pratyaksha Bhagamam Dhamyam Susukam Kartam Yadhyam. That this is the perfection of religion because it gives direct perception of the self by realization. It is everlasting and joyfully performed. Pratyaksha means we directly experience the advantage of hearing, the purity that comes from hearing Shastra. Ask yourself, what were you before you came to Krishna consciousness, and what are you today? Would you be sitting in Mayapur? Would you have tilak, kantimala? Would you have a guru? Would you even be a vegetarian, maybe? Such a radical transformation has occurred in your life, in all of our lives, by this process of hearing. The hearing is very, very important. This is the second installation of mercy, to hear and experience purity of heart. To become pure in mind, pure in action, pure in thought, all occurs by hearing this sound vibration. The third installation of mercy is described in this verse, that by hearing about Krishna, Krishna takes notice of his devotee. Krishna helps. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhav Ashta Sakhi Ki Jai. Krishna himself takes interest in the devotee that hears about him. And this is natural, isn't it? It's natural. If you ignore Krishna, why should Krishna have interest in you? Yayata mam prabhadyante tam stataiva bhajamya mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvas. If we embrace material energy, I think Maya is so nice. Embrace Maya, so nice. Get cozy with Maya. What will happen? They'll give you a good slap. So Mahaprabhu is saying, Jeev jago, Gaura Chandra bole, Kota nidya jao Maya pishachira kole. That wake up. How long you'll sleep on the lap of the witch called Maya? How long? Actually, Krishna is waiting for us in Goloka. When will you come? When are you done with material life? When are you done with sense gratification? When are you done with selfishness and pride and ego and self-absorption and lust? When will you come? So Jeev Jago, wake up, spirit soul. What is the process of waking up? Leaving Maya aside is to request mercy from the Lord, because it's available. And this is the secret of advancing in spiritual life. That our sadhana is meant to attract mercy from the Lord. Because without mercy, how is it possible? Srila Prabhupada writes something very important. I'll use my mobile phone if you don't mind. Something very important about getting mercy from the Lord. He wrote in the 7th chapter of this same first canto, he said, revival of the dormant affection or love of Godhead does not depend on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting. Does not depend on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting. But it solely and wholly depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. When the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere efforts of the devotee, he may endow him with his loving transcendental service. So what does our sadhana mean? Is our sadhana the cause of our progress in spiritual life? It's not. It's meant to demonstrate to Krishna our sincerity to have him. That I want you, I'm done with material life, please pick me up and deliver me from this ocean of material. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavambodo kripaya tavapada pankaja stito duli sadvisham vichan. Please, I've fallen in this horrible ocean of material existence. Vishaya, Vish means this poisonous. Bhavambodo, this ocean of repeated birth and death. That is our situation. We should reflect. What is our situation? We're struggling in an ocean of repeated birth and death. What is the proof? Here we are. Here we are. The day will come when the last breath comes. Then what is meaning to our life? What did it mean? When the last, your degree? Can you show Yamaraj? Hey, Yamaraj, B.Tech, M.Tech, MBBA. Oh, so sorry, chaliye. Can you show your bank balance? I'm crorepati. Hey, Yamaraj, I'm crorepati, really. Can you show him? Will it save you? What will save us? Only our relationship, re-establishing a relationship with the Lord that comes by hearing. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Saddha Kavonoye Shravanaydi Shuddha Chitte Korya Udoy. By hearing what happens, Shuddha Chitte, our consciousness becomes clear. And what is the symptom of clear consciousness? I only want Krishna. I only want pure devotional service. I only want to go back to Godhead. And Prabhupada said in this purport, it's a rare thing. Devotees are rare people. Give yourself some credit. Give yourself a hand. Devotees are rare people because they only want Krishna. So it's a cultivation. What is a cultivation? Just to try and get some mercy from the Lord. You can't just enter pure devotional service because you want it. You have to show your sincerity. You have to be tested by the Lord. Examine Prabhupada's life. How much he was tested. He had difficult family life. He had difficulty with some of his godbrothers. He had difficulty staying in Vrindavan. He was penniless in Vrindavan. And you read his poetry. Where is my loving mother? Where is my loving father? It is simply a list of names. Penniless in Vrindavan. Hopeless in Vrindavan. Prabhupada struggled, and when he came to America, who was there to greet him? Was there a nice arrangement for preaching, nice bed and flower garland, airline ticket, hot prasadam, Haribol Kirtan, devotees jumping and dancing, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Just one lone meat eater, Gopal Agarwal. And he had to keep his own vegetables in the refrigerator with cat food and hamburger. Prabhupada struggled, and then when he left, he had to struggle with Dr. Mishra, #1 first-class Pakka Mayavadi, who was always trying to keep Prabhupada down, push Prabhupada down, push Prabhupada. And when he finally got his own place, wandering the streets of New York City, in his sannyas dhoti, his Prabhupada hat, his thin woolen chadar, his white rubber slippers, in the snow, freezing cold of New York City, with no help for 1 year. His Bhagavad Gita manuscript, 1,000-page Bhagavad Gita manuscript that he labored on for years, stolen, gone. Typewriter, gone. Who was there to help him with money? Who was there to cook for him? Who was there to wash his clothes? Who was there to give him company? Prabhupada struggled. Why? So if we examine his life, we'll know what is the standard of pure devotional service. Devotional service means a struggle. It's not all sweet rice, gulab jamun, the Sunday feast, and Haribol. Spiritual life is a struggle. We've declared, Prabhupada said, we're declaring war on Maya. So examine Prabhupada's life, how we have to attract mercy of the Lord. We have to be called onto the field of pure devotional service. I'll give you an example. In football, in America we call it soccer. In football there's 11 guys on the field, right? They're kicking the ball, they're trying to score, they're beating it with their head, and they're trying to make that ball go through the gate. And there's 11 guys on the bench, right? The guy on the bench just can't jump onto the field and start kicking the ball. He's saying, get off the field, you're not called onto the field, go. He has to be called onto the field before he can play. But to be qualified to enter the play field, he has to practice, he has to attend all the practices, he has to have a required skill set to play the game. So that is in this example, is our sadhana. We're trying to qualify ourselves to attract attention of the Lord, attract mercy of the Lord, to be able to be called unto the field of pure devotional service. This is sadhana, because we're sadhakas. Sadhaka means we're not perfectly pure. Prabhupada called it probationary stage. Just like in American prison system. I used to spend time preaching in prisons in America. So they have a probationary stage called halfway house. If someone robs a bank and the judge says, "Sir, we found you guilty of robbing a bank, you're going to prison for 10 years. So after 10 years, they let him out, but he doesn't go directly back into society. That put him in what is called halfway house. And he has a probation officer who monitors his activities. They'll give him a job, they'll give him a car, but he has to stay in the halfway house. His activities have to be monitored by the probation officer. So Prabhupada said, sadhana bhakti means probationary stage. We can fall back down into Maya. And this happened. One prisoner was selling ammunition and guns that belonged to the U.S. Army. So he was caught and thrown into prison. After his sentence was served, they put him in a halfway house. They gave him a car, they gave him a job. Work, the money is yours, you can eat here, you can sleep here, you have a car, you have everything, but you have to stay here, you have to be monitored. He couldn't deal with it. Took the car, drove for Mexico, caught in Mexico, back to prison you go. In our life, we're in probationary stage. And who is the probationary officer? Sri Guru. If we follow Guru's instructions, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, if we follow those, Arna Koriyo Humane Asha, if we take that as our life and soul, then the day will come we're completely free. If this man has simply stayed in the halfway house in due course of time, he is completely free to go and do whatever he wants. So we're in probationary stage, trying to attract mercy of the Lord by seriously hearing this Bhagavatam. There's a similar verse to this. Shandatam Shadaya Nityam Ganarascha Chachishitam Kalena Nati Dirgena. What is it? Bhagavan Vishate Vriti. That if we seriously hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord is manifest in our heart. Someone may say, well, wait a minute. Krishna says in Gita, Sarvasya Chaham, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, Hridesha. I'm there. He's there. But do we have communion with Him? Can we talk to Him? Can we see Him? We cannot. Until we've heard sufficiently from Srimad Bhagavatam, until our heart is sufficiently pure, then we can hear. Lord is there. One time, Srila Prabhupada was being offered, having interview with a TV newspaper where they're interviewing Prabhupada. And then they asked him, Swamiji, can you see God? Prabhupada said, yes. What is he doing? He is sitting. So one devotee that was in attendance was saying, well, he tried to explain it because he thought this is just too outrageous to say that this Swamiji is seeing God. So I tried to explain, well, he sees God in the sun, he sees God in the moon, he sees God in the tree, in the creation. No, Prabhupada said, I see him. He can be seen. Santas sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. What is the qualification? Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena. That your eye is anointed with the salve of love. When you have love for God, when you don't want any other thing in your life but love of God, Krishna prema, then we can see Him. He's not hiding from us. We're hiding from Him. We're busy with our Maya business, with our prestige, with our bank balance, with our name and fame, with our wife, our family, our kids, our sense gratification. This is why we can't see Krishna. So the day has to come in every devotee's life where he says, I'm simply done with Maya. I only want you. And how does that come? How does that determination manifest? Simply by hearing. Shindvatam swakata Krishna. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Kridyantasto abhadrani vidunoti suritsatam. We become surit, beloved of the Lord. He is beloved to us. We're also beloved to Him. Reciprocal relationship. How does it happen? When abhadrani, all the inauspicious things in our heart are removed once and for all. Yad gatva nanivartante tadama paramam mama. And never again come back to this material world. Anyone has any comment or question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you. In the beginning of the purport, we read today, Srila Prabhupada is speaking about offenseless hearing. And what is this?
Hearing, just like I'm speaking, I'm making noise with my mouth and you're hearing. But we can be hearing and not be hearing, isn't it? I can be reading and not be reading. My eyes can be scanning the words, but I'm thinking about something else. I'm not present, I'm not mindful. Same problem in our japa. Same problem in Bhagavatam class. The sound is coming to our ear, but our mind is somewhere else. Chanchalam he mana Krishna pramati balavadidham tasyaham nigraham mane vayar eva sudushkar. Because our mind is chanchal, astiram. Yato nischalati manas chanchalam astiram tatastato nayam yaitat atmaneva vasham nayat. We have to drag our mind back to the moment. Be present when we hear, present when we chant our japa. Because typically what happens, our mouth is going, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, and our mind is going, Maya, Maya, Maya. Our mouth is going Krishna, Krishna, our mind is going Maya, Maya. We're thinking about thousands of other things, but except Krishna. Do we bring our mind to Krishna? Krishna's form, His pastime, His devotees, His lila, His instructions, His mandir, His beautiful form? No, we're thinking about thousands of other things. This is Helanam, inattentive chanting. And attentive hearing also. How to focus to hear and grasp and be present in the moment when we hear Bhagavatam class, when we chant japa, when we read Prabhupada's books, to try and delve deeply into what we're being told by this Guru Mukha Padma Vakya. Otherwise, we're making offense. Not insurmountable offense. What is the solution to inattentive chanting? Shastra says, aparadha, namaparada yuktanam namani harantyakam avishyanti payuktani tamyavarti karanicha. The antidote for inattentive hearing is to hear. All the offenses, namaparad, dasaparad, harinam aparad, can be overcome just by chanting, except one. What is that? Vaishnava Parad. So you make offense to a Vaishnava, you have to bow down, you have to tell that devotee, I'm a fool, I'm a rascal, I'm overwhelmed by tamas and rajas, please forgive me. Other aparads can be overwhelmed. Namaparada yuktanam. We make offenses, somebody chant. It's our nature. We're conditioned souls. We're not paramahansas. We're sadhakas. We make offenses. Narapara namanye harantagam. We overcome that by chanting. Struggling. Trying to bring Krishna into our life, to make our japa time our Krishna time. And we don't do any other thing. We turn off our mobile phone, turn off the internet, turn off everything. Don't chit chat, don't do anything. Just hear Krishna and remember Krishna. See Krishna in your heart. Santat sadaiva hridayeshu. He's there and He wants a relationship. But our mind is dragging us. So yato nischalate, whatever your mind takes you, drag it back under control of the self. And this is the process to overcome inattentive chanting, inattentive hearing, inattentive reading. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the wonderful class.
You can thank Prabhupada.
Thank you.
You subtract Prabhupada from my life, I'm simply a dog on the street. So thank Prabhupada. Say thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Jai.
Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhu, my question is how to make japa fun?
Make it fun?
Yeah, it gets, I'm being honest, when I chant, get up in the morning, gets really annoying at times. I just force myself, but it just gets me angry, gets me frustrated at times. Takes 1.5 hours, and then I have to do schooling and all. My college is coming now. It just gets stressful.
You're chanting 16 rounds in 1.5 hours?
Yeah.
You're chanting too fast. You're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Nam Nam, 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 Nam Nam, Nam Nam, Nam Nam. Here, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. You have to hear the sound vibration.
But it takes forever.
Huh?
It takes forever.
What are you doing in your life? There's a story. Prabhupada had his japa mala. He pulled down the last bead. Said 16 rounds. Now I can do any damn thing I want. You understand? He's saying, when can I get done with this? I have things to do. I have chats I want to do on Facebook. I have chats I want to watch YouTube. I want to be on Twitter and TikTok and God knows what else. I have things I want to do besides chanting Krishna's name. I want to get this done. This is an offensive attitude. Don't chant with the mood, I want to get this done. Be present. Be mindful. This is something we can learn from Buddhism. They teach mindfulness. For $350, you can get a weekend retreat and they'll teach you mindfulness. They put a raisin in your hand and you're supposed to be mindful of the raisin. Like, wow, it's brown. Yeah, it's got a little thing. That's where the stem was. Then they put you in the park and you just look at the sun and the trees and you're mindful of it. Okay, there's something to mindfulness. We should be mindful when we're taking prasadam. Not just, wow, this taste is so good. They said there's two kinds of devotees. There's Bhajanananda Sadhu and Bhojanananda Swadu. They're just absorbed. This is so tasty. My God, this is tasty. How is it tasty? Why is it tasty? Where did the grain come from? Where did the sugar come from? Where did the ghee come from? The masala, the chawal, where did it all come from? From Krishna. He's brought it to your mouth. He's so kind. Krishna Borodoya Moy. So be mindful when you're taking prasadam. Be mindful when you're chanting. Be mindful when you're reading. Be mindful. Manmana bhava mad bhakto. Then you'll get a taste. Then it's fun. It's more than fun. By this mindfulness, one day you wake up in Goloka. And then the real ecstasy comes. You can wrestle with Krishna and win. You can dance and be embraced by Krishna. You can feed Krishna. You can sport with Krishna eternally. But you have to pay your dues. And the first installment is to chant good japa. 1.5 hours is too fast for me. Here, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. ठीक है?
ठीक है. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, this bhajan, Jiva Jago, Gaura Chand bole. So this is looks like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is calling in emergency.
Yes.
So how we can reciprocate with this call of Mahaprabhu?
He's personally calling. He's calling you, he's calling me. And we can reciprocate in many ways. Pritibhite yacha jotanagara gram sarvatyapachara hoy be more nam. You can go out and preach for Mahaprabhu. If you really want Mahaprabhu's mercy, then go and tell someone about Krishna. We're not bhajananandi, so we want to sit in some secluded place, some holy place and chant a lakh of nam. Now we become Rasik devotee. You want to know what Rasik devotee is? Examine the life of Srila Prabhupada. Rasik devotee gets in a boat with no money, with a heart condition, with no fixed income, with no support, traveling to the other side of the world to an unknown society. Prabhupada said, when I tell the Americans, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, no meeting, they will say, please go home. This is Rasik devotee who puts his life on the line for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You want Mahaprabhu's mercy? Then do this. And it begins with japa. Be a student before you want to be professor. Right? So he wants us to wake up. What is the process? To chant Krishna's name. What else to say?
Thank you.
Mataji, any question? Anything else? Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this mind has a tendency to always look for new information. Mind is always wanting to look for new information. So whenever, like, it has also tendency like, okay, I have already read this verse or I have already heard many times. So it does not want to focus actually. So
I'm sorry, Prabhu. It's so much background noise. I'm having trouble hearing you.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that mind has a tendency to always look for new types of information.
Okay.
So even in Bhagavatam class also it thinks, okay, I have already heard this verse many times or I have read the purport many times. So it does not want to focus. So how to overcome this?
Only by reading, because our tendency is to read Bhagavatam like it's a novel. When you read a novel, I read the novel, I know the story, I know how it's going to come on, I read it, I'm done, and they're called pulp fiction. It's just a book. You read the book, I'm done with the book, you throw the book away. Don't read Bhagavatam like a novel. You have to study Bhagavatam. Why? Why do you have to study Bhagavatam? Not just read it, study it, scrutinizingly study it. Why? Because the fact is, you're sitting here someday and you're giving class to many devotees. You're a young devotee now, but you will become an old devotee. And we're all gone. All my godbrothers, the ones that are left, we're all old men. Look at us, wrinkled, gray hair, bald, diseased. Who will take up the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada? Be a professor, but be a student first. Learn Srimad Bhagavatam backwards and forwards. If you think you've read it once and you know the story, you're in Maya. Srimad Bhagavatam is as deep as the ocean. But in an ocean, only the fish are on the surface. They're sporting on the surface looking for something to eat. But the gems are in the bottom of the ocean. You have to dive deep in Bhagavatam to get the gems, the realization. Because Bhagavatam it's Krishna himself. Purana Brahma Samhitam, not different from Krishna. Is Krishna limited or unlimited? He is unlimited. So you think you read Bhagavatam once, I know the story, I'm done? Or I listen to Prabhupada's class every morning. Prabhupada's Bhagavatam class, every morning. So some classes I've heard 3, 4, 5 times. But every time I hear that class, I get something new, some realization. Because there's a big difference between jnana and vijnana, knowledge and realization. Realization means you understand it, you grasp it. Catharsis, something wells up, bhaktir upadyate pungsa shokamokam, that bhakti wells up in your heart by hearing. If that's not happening, you're not hearing. You may be reading, but you're not hearing. You have to study Bhagavatam scrutinizingly, because all of you young devotees are the future of Prabhupada's movement. You're the gurus of this movement. You're the sannyasis of this movement. You're the mothers and preachers of this movement. Who else is going to do it? Are you ready to do that? Huh? Oh, be enthusiastic. Haribo! Thank you. So we're over time. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.